Hey everybody, it's Kim, and it is time for another episode of Empower. And today we're going to talk about something that is a little controversial, and it fits into the kind of series that I started about cross counterculture corner. And we're going to talk about regret, but we're not going to talk about regret the way that it's usually spoken of. Because I am a person who doesn't necessarily subscribe to regret being bad. So let's get into it. The title of today's episode is The Resource of Regret. The Resource of Regret. And first, we're going to start with the definition of regret. Y'all know how I do. Regret means to feel, I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. To feel sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that one has done or failed to do. So to feel sad, repentant, or disappointed. Um, so often when you talk to people about the things that they've done or where they are in their lives, they say, well, I don't regret anything because if I regretted where I am now, if I didn't do what I had done, and if this hadn't happened and that hadn't happened, then I wouldn't be where I need to be. I wouldn't be in the right place right now. And while I kind of understand how someone can get to that point, I just so happen to disagree with that. The reason that I disagree is because regret can serve as a resource. It can be used as a reference point. It doesn't have to be something that causes you to be stagnant or causes there to be some type of, there's always this negative stigma attached to regret. And while, yes, it can be, it doesn't have to be. And so this is what I mean. Just because everyone has done something that they wish they hadn't done, said something that they wish they could take back, um, didn't do something that they wish they had done, missed out on an investment, missed out on an opportunity to shoot your shot or whatever. Um, we've all, there's something that we all wish, if we're honest, that we could have done better, would have done better sooner, hadn't done it all. Um, that's just a fact of life. I believe the problem comes in when we begin to allow regret to take too big of a place in our life. And so, what I mean by using it as a resource, oftentimes we repeat things because we aren't taking a reflective look over the things that we've done. Oftentimes we just do something because we don't want to wallow in it, because we don't want to keep reliving it if it's painful, if it was harmful to others, if it was embarrassing. Uh, we don't want to keep reliving it. So rather than sit in the moment and take stock of how did I get here? Uh, what can I do to not be here again? Because we rush through things sometimes because they're difficult and we would rather avoid it than deal, we can miss how regret can be a resource for us. Because if we think of the things, top three things that changed our lives in a course that we didn't want it to go, if we look at those top three things, there's a lesson in those. And the problem comes when we allow regret to become this huge monster. And we're not saying, okay, regret. I am disappointed that I chose that. I, I do wish that I had taken the time to weigh the pros and cons. I do think that had I been less emotional in the moment, had I had time, taken the time, used the time that I did have to say, hold on, I'll get back to you with an answer. Um, Not jumped on this decision, just waited a minute and not responded in a knee jerk reaction, then we could be in a different place right now. Because I'm not one that subscribes to this whole belief that everything that has happened to me had to happen to me. No, I don't believe that. There are some things that I did that I should not have done that have ramifications, and therefore I'm in a certain place. Everything, And I'm not one of those people who believes that my experience is the best teacher. No, I can learn from your experience. I don't have to go hit the same brick wall that you hit because it's there and because I have to know myself. I'm not that person. If I can learn from you and see what you have done, learned what didn't work, take some tips from you, true, I'll have to evaluate it and see how it fits into my life and see if it makes sense. Um, because there are jillions of variables that are specific to certain individuals. But I'm not gonna just go doing stuff just because, child, I need my own experience. No, and I don't. I don't want it. If I if I can limit the amount of pain and difficulty and uncertainty that I can experience by listening to you because you've done something that I want to do, I'm going to listen to you. This is why I love the idea of mentorship and having someone that has been where you're going speak to you and just share with you because it opens your eyes to different possibilities, different ways that things can be done and can be processed in our mind. Because sometimes we do things in a vacuum because we don't want too much outside interference. And there's a place for that, that we can't have too many people speaking into our lives because they always got something to say and it may not fit with what your trajectory is. That's one thing. But to completely discount someone else's experience because I have to have it on my own, that if I don't do it myself, I won't learn the lesson. That ain't true. None of us is signing up for slavery anywhere because we want our own experience. We've read about that. We've seen some movies. We've seen the effects still today of what it has done. We don't need to experience that in order to know that ain't what I want right there. I don't want no parts of that. So we tend to be a little too lenient on ourselves in some ways where it sounds good and it sounds deep and it sounds whatever. I don't regret anything because then I wouldn't be who I am. But who says that who you are is who you're supposed to be? If y'all watched the 2 episodes ago, I think it was supposed to. Yeah. But who says that where you are now, you wouldn't be farther along had you not made this series of bad decisions? Another thing I don't agree with is how often we use the word mistake. In my point of view, a mistake is the first time. And it's not always the first time because usually, for me, a mistake lends itself to I just didn't know. And there are a few times from my experience in my life that I just didn't know something and made a decision. Like I've told y'all several times on here before, I am a researcher. So 9 times out of 10, I have had some kind of thought pattern about this action or inaction. I've thought about it a little bit. So usually it's bad choices. I just made a bad decision. And so sometimes we get into this thing about, oh, it was a mistake and it was a mistake again and the same mistake again. No, no, this is a pattern of behavior now. This isn't mistakes. This is I keep choosing incorrectly. I keep choosing something that will harm me. I keep choosing something that will not profit me or push me forward, that is actually instead setting me back. There's a difference between mistakes and bad decisions. And it's hard for me um, to tell myself, oh, that was a mistake. No, sis, that was just a bad choice. And you're gonna have to own that. And you what needs to happen is because you know it was a bad choice and you're disappointed in yourself for choosing it, you should go back and see, how did I get here? How did I get here? There's a quote that says, when you fall, don't look where you fell. Look where you slipped. Don't look at why you're on the ground. How did you get on the ground? If there was an ice patch that you weren't looking at 10 steps before, and then you spend the following 10 steps trying to catch yourself, and then you end up on the ground, there's no point in blaming the ground where you're sitting and you look up from. You look back and say, what did I? Oh, I slipped on that ice because I wasn't paying attention and bust my tail. So regret is a resource for me. And I believe that if we frame it that way, it can be so much more, it can serve us so much more. It can be what we need it to be, which is okay, I did something. Let's take an after action report, if you will. This happened. I made this decision. Something that I did not want to happen happened, or something that should not have happened happened. But if I had done X, Y, or Z, and I'm not saying that all the time it's something that you could have, should have, would have done. Sometimes things are out of your control. But in the grand scheme of things, we be bum fumbling. And so I want to challenge you the same way I challenge myself. Look at regret as a resource. Take the time to sit back and say, I'm disappointed in myself for making that decision. Why did I make the decision? Was it emotional? Was I rushing through? Did I not allow myself time to question whoever I was getting involved with? And I don't mean necessarily relationship, like romantic, but that too. I have some of those. Um, but what could I have done better? Regret can be an opportunity if we take it as such. We tend to think of regret as, oh my God, because I hate myself now. And if I was smarter and if I was this and if I was that. No, that's not, that's taking it past regret. Regret is, I feel disappointed that I allowed this to happen. I feel disappointed. All right, sorry guys, interrupted by Davany. Um, now I don't remember what I was saying, but I will say this, that doing things and not allowing ourselves time to reflect tends to lead us in the same vicious cycle. We tend to end up doing the same things over and over again. So feeling disappointed, that's what I was saying, getting ready to say. To feel disappointed, I'm going to feel that anyway, whether we want to call it regret or not. If I've done something that has caused me to be hindered, delayed, pushed too fast, even in the wrong direction, I'm going to be like, man, I should have done that. That's regret. We feel that, whether we want to call it that or not, whether we think it sounds better to say, oh, I don't regret anything because well, that's not true. The truth of the matter is that's not true. We all feel like, man, if I hadn't just. So let's change how we look at it and not make it such a negative thing. Let's reframe how we look at regret. It can be a resource. It can show us a pattern. Do I usually, am I making knee-jerk decisions and because I feel like if I stop to think about it, I take too long? Am I making decisions quickly because I'm emotional? Am I making decisions because I don't want to make a decision? So I just say whatever. Am I allowing other people to influence me and not taking time to think through my own process? There are definitely several different reasons why we could be doing it, but I want to challenge you today to think of the things that you regret, honestly, and think of regret as a resource. It's like a Rolodex of how can I do better? We all need to do better. We all need to take time and say, how did I get here? What did I do so I don't repeat this process? Regret can help you with that. Just my take. I'm going to continue to look at it that way. It serves me well. So that's going to conclude today's episode. If y'all would please subscribe to my YouTube channel. youtube.com, then just go on there and search Empower, Empowher. Subscribe, watch videos there. Um, on Instagram, you can follow Empower, it's Empower540. And here on Facebook, facebook.com/empower. And do all of the things: comment, like, share, subscribe, follow, do all the things. And I will see y'all next time. Bye. Oh, see, I was about to say something so corny. Do all of those things. You won't regret that. Bye, guys.